We are now live.
Hi. Oh, is this our live?
Woohoo! We're live.
Yay. Can we be heard?
I don't know because we don't have anybody letting us know. How do we share this? Okay. I don't know. I'm just like so not techie. Yeah, somebody else do that.
I can't do it.
Well,
What am I supposed to do?
Are you streaming?
Yeah, we are streaming.
Yeah, let's find out.
I look for you guys and hold on.
Video has been removed by the user.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with we're not. Oh, wait, there we go. And
Yep, there I see the
it's
live.
loading.
It's loading, it's loading, it's loading.
What stage of late
Yeah, I see the
capitalism?
live. Okay, so share it on.
Oh God. Excuse
Zoom
me.
tight.
That
Yeah,
was
sure.
live. Edit that out, please, Ed. Wait, what? We can't edit? Shit.
Yes, we can't.
Okay.
Not that way.
Oh, I need to find. Do you have the link? Did you share it on Twitter?
I haven't shared it on Twitter. That's why I wanted you to go there so you could go on Twitter and share it, or
I
you
don't-
could go to the group chat so I could share it.
I don't have the link.
Okay, Jesse.
You should drop the link.
Yes. Don't worry. We'll get this started, people. Sorry.
Okay, I tweeted it.
Okay. Jesse tweeted it. So, everybody will have an opportunity to watch it. Okay.
Jesse tweeted it.
Join us. Okay. Anyway, we are going to be doing some stuff on here that we can record.
Are we not recording now?
No, I think it does record automatically. Yes. So, hello, the person watching us, Ed.
Ed is the only person watching.
I'm Elizabeth, your beloved host at A Humorless Femme.
And I'm Kevin. And I'm this week's guest, Jesse at Jewish Lawyer Lib.
Also, the person who went to at least one political event, so you can report back on it.
While we were doing nothing.
Yeah, well, okay, I was doing something. I was sitting in the passenger seat while Ed was driving.
Well, and I was walking to a dispensary, so some of us had priorities.
It took him 2 hours to do that. Can you believe that?
Well, it was
2 hours to walk to a dispensary.
It's Friday night in Vegas. I assume the line was 2 hours long. No, there wasn't a line.
Oh.
But it was like
the initial rush is over, Jesse.
It was like a 2-mile walk round trip. The initial rush for marijuana never ends, Elizabeth.
I wouldn't know anything about that. I don't imbue. That's his job. Him and Bianca.
That's my literal job.
Yes. All right. The one person watching us in the room is just shaking his head. Then again, that's pretty much what Ed does every single time he listens to us.
Right. Ed's our most loyal audience member.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Hey, wait a minute.
And one of these.
Me?
Well, he counts more because he gives us money.
Oh, okay, but Ed actually listens to all of what we say.
Yeah, you listen to the polished product that he provides.
The edited version. Mm-hmm. Cuts out the slurs and the swears.
Yeah.
Well, somewhat.
Yeah, I keep telling him to cut out all the Bernie stuff, but especially since it's 2 hours long every time.
But then we'd have no content.
Yeah. All right, so we actually do have some stuff we're going to talk about today. Speaking of Bernie, let's talk about the fact that he apparently fell in the shower.
Wait, I'm not going to do my intro.
Oh, you had an intro?
Yeah, I had an intro.
Okay, I guess you could try it.
I'll do it. Okay.
Here, hold the microphone so it sounds better.
Okay, so
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Humorless Rants. In this week's episode, Trump orgasms a cloud of locusts into the eyes of Mike Pence as he signs his first veto. Bernie defends the economic anxiety of shower doors. Beto gives Chuck Todd a Cleveland steamer.
Don't you? No, you were done.
I wasn't done yet.
Yes, you are.
I wasn't.
No, you are done. When you bring up
What's a
that,
Cleveland steamer?
Don't
That would be what
describe it.
Beto and Chuck Todd have been doing to each other all week.
God. Don't Google it, people. I swear. Do not. You're done. You are done. Shush.
I'm Googling it.
Oh my God. Do not read that on the air.
I'm with her. Don't read that on the air. I think it's funnier if we don't explain.
Yeah, and don't Google it.
My intro
It's
didn't
just-
get us an extra viewer. I'm very sad.
No.
Oh.
No.
Oh God.
Can I finish my intro now?
No, you can't. You are done forever with intros.
Oh God. Oh God.
Hey, tell me that is not what Beto's been doing to Chuck Todd all week. Looking at the eye, tell me that is not what Beto's been doing to Chuck Todd all week.
Well, some of our listeners may not know what Beto's been doing to Chuck
Well,
Todd.
Yeah, and we'll
That's
talk about it
what we're here
later.
for.
We're going to talk about it later.
That's
First,
what
we're
we're
going to
here
talk
for, is to
about
inform the public about it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Bernie's economic anxiety involving shower doors. Although, honestly, I don't think that's what it was.
Well, there's always a convenient excuse when there's domestic violence involved.
Really? You think that Jane was kicking his ass?
Jane or her son Sean, because he just lost his job.
Oh, right.
Any number of things.
Yeah, that's true. The Sanders Institute finally shut down. The Sanders Institute was what they called the Clinton Foundation, to be honest.
Right.
The Clinton Foundation was a very good foundation, still
The Sanders
is.
Institute was 100% just a grift.
Yeah,
They raised somewhere on the line of $500,000, and 2/3 of that money went to salary. Most of that salary went to Bernie's stepson, Sean Driscoll. So, and they didn't actually produce any original content.
That's not 100% true.
Uh-oh.
They had a conference
Wasn't
where
it
they
2
invited.
out of 18?
Huh?
Wasn't it like there were 2 out of the 18 things they had posted were actually original, and everything else they were just copying other people's work?
Yeah, pretty
Wow, they
Pretty
actually had original content. That's weird for Sanders.
Supposedly. I didn't read any of it, God knows.
No. I mean, he never does anything original.
But
Everything's stolen from someone else.
But you're right. They did put on a conference.
Yeah.
Where they
And they brought the person that they brought for the conference was one of the people that I guess they had to pay a sex settlement out.
Richard
Mhm.
Carmona. He was
Yep.
invited to the conference, and then like a week later, it came out that he was fired for sexual not fired for sexual harassment.
No, promoted for
Promoted
sexual.
for sexual harassment.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's the opposite of that.
So rather than doing a good thing like the Clinton Foundation, where half of the world's people who have AIDS or HIV get medication for what they're sick about, they just had a conference and then paid Sean Driscoll way too much money to sit on his ass all day.
I want a lot of money to sit on my ass all day.
That's what you do now.
Who doesn't?
Hey,
Oh.
Wait, that's not true completely, because while you do sit on your ass all day, you're actually typing
thank you. And researching.
and researching.
And helping people.
Yes, because you're a public defender.
People.
Be nice.
Sorry, I heard the stories yesterday, so.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Which stories?
We're not going to talk about them.
No,
Okay, can
So-
I finish my intro?
No. So the Sanders Institute ends because, of course, Bernie decides to run for office for president again, since apparently he thinks everybody wants him.
That's what they're saying. They're saying, oh, we're shuttering it because he's running for president. Well, no, because everybody knew he would be running, so that's not the issue. The issue was their 990s just came out, and then they knew that they were going to be subjected to rightful scrutiny and criticism. So
Yeah.
instead of actually, running their erstwhile nonprofit organization responsibly, they decided to just, run it for a couple of years, hoover up as much of the donations as they can, and then shudder it before anybody can, learn the facts and criticize it.
That's part of the reason why he still hasn't released his taxes, because he doesn't want to admit to the public that he and Jane have been getting a lot, especially if he does release them and it's married filed separately.
Well,
so he could hide what Jane has.
And the other thing too is the Sanders Institute admitted that Bernie and Jane Sanders were their largest donors. And so really what they were doing was they were donating the money to the Sanders Institute, taking a write-off of that donation because they ran it as a 501c3. And then that money went directly into Sean Driscoll's pocket.
That's actually disgusting because,
It's a grift. It's a multi-layered grift.
Luckily for us, none of the people who are in the race this time have any sort of foundations or anything like that. So we shouldn't have the same issues that we had last time when people were claiming the Clinton Foundation was like the Sanders Institute.
Right.
But the fact is that this institute was basically a way for Bernie to pay his son-in-law or stepson just money without having to actually,
Work for it. Right.
And also there's a gift tax, although maybe not, because when does a gift tax kick in? Because it was 45,000.
Which gift tax are you talking about?
Oh, it may have been state gift tax that he was trying to avoid.
Could be.
Yeah. So this is an effective way of avoiding that. Not only that, but also gives them a deduction on the federal taxes, which is disgusting. Yeah.
So Bernie got in a fight with his tax returns, and the tax returns won, and so now he's wearing a bandage on his forehead.
Yeah. We also think his Botox failed.
Well, clearly you can see it melting.
No, I told you guys the shower door had economic anxiety, and it was taking it out.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I suppose we could go with that.
Yeah.
Wow, that shower door was anti-Semitic.
Hey, all shower
Yes.
doors matter.
Oh, my. True, I guess. So we had that problem there with the shower door, and
well, it wasn't
other
really
people-
our problem.
well, there's also other people.
We have another viewer.
Yeah, hi, other viewer.
Hi, Joey.
So we have.
Could be Jen.
Pretty sure it's not. She's winning her tournament because Jen, his fiance, is in the Nevada women's poker tournament or something.
Yeah, something like that.
So
Whatever.
go Jen.
Yes,
Win all
go
the money.
Jen.
But
Yeah.
I just texted her to the link, so that's what I was saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Sanders falls in the shower, and of course, conspiracy theorists have popped up all over the place. I think it's his Botox failing. You think it's his Botox failing and/or economic anxiety from the shower door,
And tax returns.
and the tax returns attacking him.
He
that
slipped on the tax returns.
That could be a paper cut.
He slipped on the tax returns and fell into the shower door, thus ruining the tax returns and his forehead.
Yeah, because if he gets blood on the tax returns, you can't release those.
Gone. Yeah.
Yeah. So no. I think that might possibly be it, but I prefer. Oh, and somebody else said that they think it was him having his skin cancer removed.
Oh, well, you know what? You know what, though? What this proves is that Bernie is near death and can die at any moment. So
Yes, and even his own fans are pointing that out because I saw a tweet storm yesterday that I was like, wow.
oh, I don't think that guy is a Bernie fan.
Not anymore.
No. That was trolling.
Okay. Yeah. So we have this little problem here because it is something that should be brought up. A lot of people don't want to talk about ageism because they think, oh, that's totally unfair. How dare you bring up his age as a negative? Well,
Oh, I'm going to.
he's 77. Elizabeth Warren is what, 69?
Oh no, she's much younger than that. She's in her early to mid 60s, I believe.
Oh, okay. So in that one, because the average life expectancy for a woman is in 77 years, so she has a long time, and mental failing doesn't really start hitting until you hit your 70s, at least for men. So she's still just as sharp, and of course, as we've been seeing with her.
Elizabeth was right.
Oh,
69 years. What do you know?
Yes, always believe me.
Nice.
Thank you.
So she hasn't hit her 70s. There's no mental failings, and her policies have been just absolutely awesome.
Well, and that's the point. Women live longer than men,
Mhm.
and they retain their mental faculties later than men.
Yes. So, and there's no history of Alzheimer's or anything like that in her family, as far as I know.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there any
So
parties?
I don't know, because I don't know if anybody noticed who his parents are.
Well, no, I did read a little bit about his parents. Both of his parents died young.
Oh.
Like his mom died in her 40s, and his dad died like 10 years later.
That's too bad.
It's sad, it's tragic, but also,
Something to be considering, because
those are.
I mean, we're already dealing with Donald Trump as the oldest man ever elected president. He'll be the oldest man ever running for a second term.
Elected.
The only way
Yeah,
someone older than him can be running is if Biden or Bernie get the nomination.
Ugh.
So
yeah, and Biden, just give it up.
Did you guys see that Biden accidentally slipped that he was running yesterday?
why is he playing with us?
I don't know.
It's
he just
not-
wants the attention.
He was
It's not like
gonna-
people are going to be shocked if
He started to
declares that
say-
he's running.
He started to say, "I have the most progressive record of anybody running," and then all the crowd started cheering, and he was like, "Oh wait, I meant people who might run."
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, you do not after that bankruptcy bill.
And that's the other thing.
That destroyed your ability to
Yeah.
claim you're progressive forever.
Yeah.
I was one of the people who had to sign those judgments against people who could not use the bankruptcy law after he passed that stupid shitty bill.
That's a monstrosity.
Yep. Okay, so let's talk about Manafort.
Manafort got sentenced by Judge Amy Berman Jackson.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
Yes, he did.
And it was what, the 7-year itch?
Yes, she imposed a sentence that, all told, including the sentence that he got last week from Judge Ellis, he's going to be spending a little under 7 years, and 7 more years in prison, once you account for time served and whatnot. Although he'll probably get out within 5.5 years if he's got good time credits and all
And he's also got 9 months already in?
that. Yeah, 9 months already served. So
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with the 9 months. I'm okay with giving credit for time served.
well, yeah, that's
Yes, especially
That's
since
the point.
he has gout and has to appear in a wheelchair now.
Yeah, I was looking at that going, what the heck? Okay, I get that we should be questioning people's disabilities, especially since that has been a huge problem.
I'm gonna question a liar's claim disability. Yeah, I'm gonna
But
do it.
he
don't care.
doesn't have a good track record on his honesty.
Yeah.
I mean, the judge literally found that he was lying to people 3 times.
A lot.
Yes. So, and of course, he lied on his taxes. That's what he pled guilty to. What he was found guilty to, he committed fraud. I mean, this is not a person who's honest. And if you're not going to be honest, what are you going to do when you show up in court? You're going to try to game the system. And there have been defendants in my court who did that, who showed up pretending that they were super ill. And then as soon as I was yeah, you still have to go to jail or you still have to do whatever, they're like, fine, and just kind of tossed away whatever it was that they were using to garner my sympathy. The worst one was the guy who brought his elderly mother in a wheelchair so he wouldn't go to jail that day.
And he still went to jail, huh?
He still went to jail. He had been ducking going to jail like he was supposed to for almost 2 years. He was going to jail that day no matter what.
Well, and so did Manafort.
Yeah, and Manafort also wound up. And the judge, Judge Jackson, Berman Jackson or Jackson?
Both.
Okay, Berman Jackson. So she actually noted that he didn't have quite the same experience as, say, one of Jesse's former clients, where they were in general population. The food was green, and not because it was vegetables. And all the other horrors that Sheriff Joe inflicted on people. He was in his own room. He was kept separate because it was for his own protection. He was given unlimited visits with his attorney. He was given access to a laptop. He was given access to the internet. Wait, no, he
which he
wasn't
then
getting.
used to commit more crimes.
No, he didn't have access to the internet. He had access to a laptop computer that he then preloaded emails on, so he could then send those to the potential witnesses, which is what caused the witness tampering. So he didn't have the same typical experience that somebody who goes to jail gets.
No, he
Well, let's not forget the best part.
What?
He got a new indictment as soon as he left the courtroom.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, 5 minutes after he finished the sentencing, and as his attorney was going out to lie to the public again.
Oh God, that was pretty bad.
The New York, the New York Cy Vance, that asshole.
Right, the Manhattan prosecutor. He filed a 16 count indictment,
mortgage fraud, and all sorts of other things.
My guess that was an order that came from the state AG's office.
Yeah, pretty sure that wasn't.
You must indict this man.
Yeah, pretty sure that wasn't Cy Vance's idea, because he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. Also, what happened on sentencing day was Judge Jackson signed the forfeiture order.
How much did he have to give up?
Well, he had to give up his Trump Tower apartment. So that's now.
I didn't hear that.
So that's now his Trump Tower now it's property of the U.S. government.
Oh, well, then we're just going to save a ton of money, because now the Secret Service can use that apartment.
It would be nice,
That's
given what
awesome.
Trump charges them now.
Yeah, so he doesn't get that
But
money
he had to
anymore.
he had to forfeit a bunch of properties and stuff. So I think it amounted to like $26 million.
Wow.
So, which is, now the Mueller investigation has paid for itself.
You know that Trump charges the Secret Service for golf cart rental, right?
Right. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So wait, was this so this forfeiture, was this in addition to the previous forfeiture, or is this just
No,
the final
this is
forfeiture?
final. This is finalized.
Okay.
This is the final forfeiture.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
because you can't forfeit, in criminal procedure is you can't forfeit until there's a conviction and a sentence.
Okay.
Now the guilty plea had him forfeiting $46 million.
Right.
But then that was revoked, so he wound up.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
I don't think the plea itself was not revoked, but the agreement was.
No, I understand paragraph 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would hope so. It's kind of important to your work.
So,
Yes, I know.
so the sentence was a little disappointing, all told, because he was facing 19 to 24 months in Eastern District and up to 10 years, or 19 to 24 years, sorry, and up to 10 years in DC District, and he only ended up getting sentenced to 7 total, which is as compared to the guidelines, it's a very lenient sentence, I think, all told.
Yeah.
But Judge Jackson, I think, did the right thing as far as she entered the sentence that she otherwise would have for the crimes that were before her, that he pled to.
Yeah.
And she had to. Her hands were kind of tied, because for much of the conduct, it overlapped with what was sentenced in the Eastern District of Virginia. So she had to, I think, 30 months of the sentence that she imposed.
30 months.
Was concurrent with those. So.
Yeah. So we're kind of in a situation where we're like stuck between a rock and a hard place, and judges don't like being there, but she did what she could, because I don't think she really thought Manafort deserved much mercy.
No, she didn't.
No, that was the biggest difference, was the judge in the federal sentencing made that really offensive comment that, other than the reasons you're here today, you've led an otherwise blameless life, which is just not true for any number of reasons, not the least of which being he stole tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you do that in one day, you're not leading an otherwise blameless life. But Berman Jackson was clearly not having that at all.
No, she didn't.
No. Ooh, we have 3 people watching us.
Yay.
Hi, third person. So.
Before we get to our next topic, should we announce that we're in Vegas?
Oh.
Nobody knows that we're in Vegas.
Nobody knows.
Okay.
I don't want
It's a
anybody to
secret.
know.
Should we thank all our contributors?
Yes, we should thank our contributors. I'm not going to mention them by name, because we kept the donations anonymous, but they all know who they are, and thank you very much. you paid for this lovely hotel room, and we really do appreciate it.
And this is a very nice suite.
Yes.
Oh, and also we miss Bianca, and we hope she gets well soon.
Oh yeah, poor thing.
Yeah, Bianca couldn't make it because she's sick.
Yeah, we actually told her to stay home.
We did.
When she told us what was wrong, we were like, keep your ass at home.
Yeah, no, you're not allowed.
Get some sleep.
Yeah.
Make your kids do make your husband
Make somebody.
make somebody in your life who is responsible to keep up the housework and stuff. It's like, oh wait, no, can't say the husband, can't say the kids. Yeah.
Also, I'd like to announce that I have not puked once.
Yes, he did much better than he did the first time.
Mm-hmm. I was a little bit hungover this morning though, so.
Well, yeah, but we're not having like a giant milkshake with a bunch of candy on it this time.
No, that's because the line was out the freaking door last night. We would have, but it was.
That's true.
Yeah.
We did go there, but the line was ridiculous. So we went somewhere else.
All right.
We're back down to 2 viewers.
Yeah, I know.
You're like, oh.
Here, let's thank people, and they're like, fuck you. Yeah. So we had. So this week also had a first for the Cheeto administration, but of course it was a first in service of, well,
Racism.
corruption.
Also racism.
And racism.
Cloud of locusts.
Yes. Cheeto issued his first veto.
The Cheeto veto.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It was really funny because when he typed it on Twitter, Beto, and I was like, how did you, that was the same day that Beto announced, and I was like, you misspelled his name, and then everybody came up with that joke.
It was funny. I was dying for the possibility that, you have to sign something to veto in the same way you have to sign a bill to make it a law. I was dying hoping that he would sign the wrong thing and accidentally signed the bill.
No, I don't want him to do that. There's some really good legislation going his way.
But then he does what he does, which is he held a signing ceremony for his veto. And, joking aside, Pence was there beaming and talking about how this was the greatest moment of his presidency and that he was going to go down in history and all these ridiculous flowery things that Mulvaney then followed him with. And, of course, we had the horrible massacre in New Zealand this week. Mm-hmm. And he opened his statements by saying 2 sentences about it, and then in the same train of thought, not necessarily mid-sentence, same train of thought went back to all of the killers and drugs that are coming through our southern border.
It's an invasion.
Yes, it's an invasion, the same way the killer said that in his manifesto.
Yeah. It's an invasion of people showing up Cheeto and how smarter than him they are. That's why he doesn't like them.
Right.
Yeah. So he issued a veto, and the veto was for the
emergency declaration.
The declaration that he had made saying we're in a state of emergency, even though absolutely he waited like 3 freaking weeks before he declared it.
And Congress disapproved of that declaration of emergency.
And it wasn't just the House that disapproved of it, because I mean they had what, 240?
I think 260. They got 260 votes. I think.
Okay, so they got 260 votes in the House. So it was actually pretty decent. Then
hold on.
In the Senate,
no, it was 245.
Okay, it was 245. So it was a pretty decent amount in the House. And then it went over into the Senate, and they got 12 Republicans, one short of 60, because I think somebody was not there.
Because Tom Tillis reversed himself.
Oh, Tom Tillis decided to reverse himself. Now, granted, to do an override, you need to have 2/3, so it wasn't going to be enough to do 2/3, but that's a significant breaking from the president, since the fact is that most of them act like Pence.
And let's not forget the law, the emergency declaration law mandates that if the House approves it, the Senate must vote within 18 days, which is the only reason we had a vote to begin with. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, in much the same way H.R. 1 is not getting a vote because McConnell said, I decide what gets voted on. McConnell couldn't shut down the vote. That's the only reason it happened.
So guess what Nancy decided to do?
What?
Convene something to override the veto?
She is having a second vote on the same thing.
Yeah, to override the veto?
Yeah. Nope. What? She's doing a new
resolution.
A new resolution.
Oh, so she can make him veto it again?
Yes.
She's going to continue.
Hopefully this time Ben Sass will actually put his mouth
where
his mouth is.
Ben's ass.
No.
Yeah, Ben's ass. He definitely showed it on that vote.
He decided to try to hide him doing the Nazi salute.
That was funny.
Because he was like, oh, look at these gigantic.
He was like, Look, there's the ice is so
I
tall.
did not see that. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, and everybody just was kind of like,
Oh God, I just did that.
yeah. He
God,
deleted the
couldn't
tweet,
get
but of
freeze
course, anything that a senator does lives forever on Twitter.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, so we're gonna see another veto from Cheeto, and it'll be just as hilarious when she does it for the third time.
He'll hold another signing ceremony. Maybe this time he'll have a band, and he'll get Pence to call him the greatest human being since Jesus Christ. And
And also Bill Barr will be like, this is the most constitutional declaration of emergency I've ever seen.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
Bill
about
Barr
that.
is just as racist as Jeff Sessions, only he's just as bad at hiding it.
Yeah, well,
Oh, Trump will take the opportunity to fight for Gene Pirro's job, which is what he was doing this morning on Twitter.
Yeah, he's very upset that Clinton's stalker got her TV show.
Oh, we're
yanked.
back up to 3 viewers again.
Yay!
Yeah.
So Clinton's, so her stalker finally said something that just upset Fox to the point they
what did she say?
it
was something like explicitly Islamophobic, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Wasn't it? I'm a woman and I work at Fox News and I'm not blonde.
Probably.
No, it was not actually
Okay.
because she was blonde.
No,
Not blonde.
not blonde.
Right.
No, she
I'm
came
just
out
saying,
and said
Tucker
something.
Carlson's on vacation. Gene Pirro's been fired. All right.
So no, she was pulled because she did say something that was actually Islamophobic and pretty nasty. I don't want to repeat it, and I don't remember it because I don't want to remember it. But yeah, she was pretty bad, and they're like, okay, yeah, this is probably a bad idea to have right after a mass shooting in New Zealand. Speaking of the mass shooting, it's horrible. I don't like the fact that this keeps happening because 2 days later, I think it was yesterday, we had another guy who rammed his car through a gate at a mosque.
Oh shit, where?
I think it might have been here in the United States.
Oh God.
So, and there's a lot of people who are saying things like, you can't use the rhetoric that's being said by somebody like PewDiePie, whatever that guy's name.
Right.
You can't use his rhetoric. You can't use Cheeto's rhetoric. You can't, because clearly, Felix, I think that's his real name for PewDiePie.
Mm-hmm.
He keeps saying things and he goes, well, they're just jokes. And
right. He keeps joking that he's a Nazi.
But the fact is that that's what the Nazis did.
Yeah, it's
right.
They used humor to slip
shit posting, basically.
Yeah, they used the humor to slip in so that way people would be like, well, I can't really get upset over it because he's just joking. That's what he said he is. It's the same thing that happens when somebody makes a nasty remark about your weight and then says, I'm just joking. So you look like you're irrational for complaining about it.
Right.
Look up YouTube video ContraPoints decrypting the alt-right. Every signal, every dodge they use, you see it in Trump, you see it in the shooter. The shooter was citing manifestos from the youth camp Norwegian shooter. Breivik, yeah, and it's basically the same thing. And then he made the white power symbol when he was being booked.
Yeah,
in court, and it's like they made that symbol behind Judge Kavanaugh, and everyone was like, "You're reading too much into it." No.
It used at one point in time it wasn't that way.
But they've adopted it.
But now it is.
Adopted it.
That is exactly the point. Is that when you make that symbol, they can claim, "Well, I was just saying it was okay." Yeah, that's the dodge. That's why they use it. So you can't call them out on it.
Exactly.
If it was, something sillier or more identifiable, something that doesn't mean something else, then they couldn't hide.
And let's not overlook the overlap between the alt-right and the dirtbag left. That is not insignificant, and it needs, and that for reasons that escape me, they have not had to account for.
No,
not only do they not account for it, they shout down and they deplatform anybody pointing out these facts.
So expect us to be kicked off of Twitter and YouTube
for defending Chelsea Clinton.
Already did.
We haven't even defended her.
We're
We're talking about something that's beyond what happened to Chelsea Clinton, because it sucks that she was attacked by this young woman who decided to get mad that she was there. And a lot of people are like going, why does it matter that Chelsea was, I think, at least 7 months pregnant? And it's like, well, when you're pregnant, you're generally not able to move the same way. So if that woman had actually attacked her physically, she wouldn't have been able to get out of there that quickly. I think that and it's not good to be under stress for the baby. So don't scream at people when they're pregnant.
Well, so I did look at the video. She didn't scream at her, but she did get in her face, and she did say that her rhetoric is what led to the killing of 49 people, and it's up to 50 now in Christchurch. So that's, she said it calmly, but that is inflammatory rhetoric that is not that has no basis in reality. It's completely delusional. And let's just revisit the objection was that when Chelsea responded to Ilhan Omar's anti-Semitic tweet, that was, it was actually very respectful and whatnot, but some of them some people on the far left decided that response to anti-Semitism was Islamophobic. And it led, and this is what I'm hearing and seeing is that it led to an Islamophobic pile-on on Ilhan Omar.
Well, considering the way that pile-ons happen, the pile-on actually was because of Republicans. It wasn't. I mean, the left and the liberals in this country, and yes, Jesse, you'll get a chance to talk. The left in this country and liberals and people who we don't want to have anti-Semitic discussions because we know where that leads. It leads to what happened in Philadelphia?
Mm-hmm.
There's been so many. Yeah, Pittsburgh. When it happened in Pennsylvania, it leads to that, and I don't want to have my best friend here put in any sort of danger other than me patting him on his back and telling him he's not allowed to finish his intro.
That's not danger.
I don't want him to be put in danger simply because of the fact that he is Jewish. That's where that kind of stuff leads, and that's why you nip it in the bud. You should be doing the same thing for Islamophobic behavior, because that also leads to violence. But what Chelsea did wasn't Islamophobia.
It's not Islamophobia to call out anti-Semitism in somebody that practices Islam. It's not Islamophobic to say, especially the way she did it, which was entirely respectful, and she invited a dialogue,
which they had,
which ended up happening. They had Chelsea Clinton and Ilhan Omar ended up meeting in person and having a constructive dialogue. Ilhan Omar apologized for her tweet. She saw the error in it, and then tweeted out something anti-Semitic like 2 weeks later. But she's still learning. She's still trying.
And I think part of it is that when you become a congressperson and you're not kind of expecting to become a congressperson, because she was in a 6-way primary, when you suddenly become under that spotlight, not everybody handles that well. And not everybody realizes that everything that they say can be taken not only out of context, but also can be spun in a negative way. I saw the tweets. They're not good tweets. They're definitely anti-Semitic tropes.
They're tropes. She may not have realized that they were tropes.
I could see that she may not realize it because, not everybody pays all that much attention to everything that goes on at all times. So I've said problematic stuff and I've been smacked upside the head for it, which I should be. And Kevin, same thing. And
never. I've never said anything terrible.
Get off this show. And Jesse has said problematic things on this show today. Especially describing a certain sex act that we will not repeat.
So are we getting to Beto now so I can express my displeasure with the things that he said and Chuck Todd giving him a pass?
Okay, so yeah, let's move on to Beto deciding to announce finally at long last emo candidate has announced that he is running for office. Well, considering the fact that he's like, I have to go on a journey. It's like, I wish I had the kind of money that I could go on a journey.
We are on a journey. We're in Las Vegas.
We are in Vegas. Sorry.
Get off this show.
Nice.
journeyed to a number of sports books last night.
Yes, and you won enough to give us a generous donation.
I won nothing.
Oh,
Not
Oh.
the sports books.
Oh, I see. Okay. So
Poker, different.
yeah. Okay. So Beto finally decided to announce, and his rollout has been an utter fucking disaster. Jesse.
Well, I'm not even going to get to the comment that most people are talking about. I'll let you two do that, because the thing that offended me the most was, one, him saying that they asked him if he had an opinion about Brexit, and he said, no, you cannot run for president if you do not have an opinion on that. Okay, like not that he was for it, not that it needed more study, not that he was against it, not that he was in favor of Corbyn's compromise plan. No, he doesn't have an opinion. The other thing, and this came out today, was they asked him if he supported the Equal Rights Amendment, and he said, if there's no other way to do it and we can't get it done legislatively, then yes, which is a denial, and it's meaningless, and it's stupid, and I am done with Beto forever.
So he's definitely going to get the college vote.
Chuck Todd was, and let's not forget, he made the comment that we need someone from a border state running, at which point Julian Castro and Kamala Harris said, excuse me. And
that's actually something that Bernie can say.
Technically, yes.
Because he is part of a border, he's from a border
the other
state.
thing is, if he's going to say anything about,
yeah.
I need someone who understands the border and the immigrant experience,
yeah.
On Twitter, they call it the erasure of Julian Castro, and I agree with that sentiment, absolutely.
He does have that issue. Immigration is something that he cares passionately about. That's very obvious. After all, when Cheeto decided to go visit the emergency at the border, he got double the crowd. That is something that I think, I do think that that's something that is a very important topic for him to work on. But he has to remember, he's not an immigrant. He is not the child of immigrants. His wife is not the child of immigrants. He doesn't have the same experience that somebody like Julian Castro has, because his grandmother emigrated to this country, and those lived experiences are there in the family. Now, Julian has done definitely the 3-generation integration. I mean, you can't get more integrated than becoming the Secretary of Housing for the United States. But he understands in a way that I don't think Beto could ever really truly bone deep understand, because Beto can go anywhere in this country and he will be accepted. It doesn't matter where. Whereas Julian, he can't.
Well, and they asked Beto, and most of these questions came from Chuck Todd, which was referencing my earlier comment. They asked Beto, well, how are you going to get all these concerns out as a white man when there's so many people who have a problem with us only ever seeing white men in the race? And he said, yes, it's very problematic that there are so many white men that people always see representing them. So that's why my staff's going to be so important. So look for the diversity of my staff. And it didn't.
But he doesn't have any staff yet.
Well,
he doesn't even have
he's running against people who aren't white men.
Right.
And then he said he was born to do this, which I'll let you guys take, because I can't.
Okay. On the flip side, I did see some stuff about Beto that he was part of one of the original hacktivist groups called Dead Cow, I think.
Yes, he apparently wrote a poem at 15 that was very offensive.
Oh, I was not offended by it at all.
But if you're a Republican who seems to think that body parts don't exist, you would be very offensive.
It's something like wax my ass and buff my balls or something like that. I'm like, and I like it.
I mean, it just
No,
shut up.
No, do not listen to this man.
We're gonna just get this in front of him. So this is my textbook for my class on statistics.
The reason I said that, is because he said all these things about we need someone from a border state and all this crap. And Chuck Todd didn't challenge him or do anything. But of course, Chuck Todd says it's not his job as a journalist to fact check people.
No, and it's not his job as a journalist to point out when some white dude is being a complete ass.
Chuck
Apparently,
Todd is
his
the
job is to be professional white dude.
He is
So I don't know what the hell
so
Chuck
fucking
Todd does.
useless.
Yeah.
Yes.
He used to not be this useless. I don't know what happened.
His
Bernie.
wife went to work for Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
And
Okay, I was right.
the creepy thing. Okay, so anyway,
So hopefully Beto can get over this "I was born to do this" thing, because it's not like everything he says is bad. He's just been a bad rollout.
and I think part of it is he was the it candidate for the last election. Everybody gave him money. Everybody was
I didn't
talking
give
about
money.
him. Okay, not everybody, because I didn't either. But
I did.
You did?
Mhm.
Well, good
Yeah.
for you.
yeah, Jesse's really connected politically. All of the politicians call him because he gives them money.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
that's-
only a couple.
Yeah, Kirsten has his home phone number,
She does.
and she calls.
She does. She
She's
did
all
not
like,
call
"Here,
this
give me
last race, though.
give me $500," and he's like, "Okay."
It is something close to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she does that per phone call, so
Yes, but she calls everyone she's ever met.
she doesn't
Really?
call me.
You
She
met her? You met
Yes, she's met me. She
Okay.
knows me. She doesn't. She
Well,
disapproved.
she met when she was running for Congress, she called everyone she went to law school with.
Yeah, well, that would be a sensible idea, I would say. Yeah. Okay. So, so he was the it candidate. He was the one that got all of the glorious press, and I think he kind of bought into that a little bit.
Yeah.
And
He's not running against Ted Cruz this time, though.
yeah, he's running against a slate of competent, excellent candidates who each one has their own key issue that they're running on, except for maybe Booker. So yeah, because I'm like, what is Booker running for?
I keep forgetting the Booker's in.
Yeah, I don't. But-
Booker is running on "I'm dating Rosario Dawson," because that's literally the only thing he's put out in the press in the last.
You know
3
what,
weeks.
though? God bless him for taking that chess piece off the table for Bernie.
Yes, yes. Warren is putting out all of this policy so that way Sanders doesn't have that opportunity.
She's eating his lunch on policy.
Yes.
And, what's great, though, is the Bernie pros are like, oh, that's too much policy.
Then again, they just said that they are against unions because the unions were trying to protect their members' jobs.
But
Right.
did Bernie just hired union people?
No, Bernie did something that I think is kind of problematic.
No.
What?
Yes. The reason I think it's problematic is because when Bernie Sanders announced that his campaign was unionizing, the understanding that I got from the way that they were discussing it was this is not something that the staff came up with. This is something management came up
Oh,
with.
this is a top down.
Mhm. Because he wanted to be like, oh,
Also-
look at me, how awesome I am. My staff's organized. Julian had the best way to handle it. He says, if my staff wants to organize, I will go along and work with them on that. I will.
But it has to come from them.
Yes, it
Yeah.
has to come from them because otherwise it's a company union. And one, those are illegal. And two, even if it's not quite that way, it's still management trying to control the process.
Well, and the other thing, too, is as we know from 2016, Bernie uses a lot of consultants and contract work.
Mhm.
Those would not be covered by union.
And it doesn't deal with the sexual harassment issue or the sexism that's on his campaign.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Well, speaking of Julian.
Yeah, so the reason why Jesse's here is not just simply because he came to Vegas to hang out with us, because he could have just, done that in Phoenix with me at least. He came here because Julian had a event. He came out here all day on Friday, and Jesse went to the last event. Please,
Yes.
and
So-
don't talk about Cleveland Steamers.
No, I like Julian Castro.
Okay.
I was a delegate to the 2012 convention, so I saw his speech in person. I always found that very impressive. In 2013, the Young Democrats of America had their national convention in San Antonio, and Mayor Castro came and hosted us and hung out with us for a while, and he was really cool both in his speech and in person. Nevada is an early primary state, so all the candidates are coming here. Julian had 4 events in Nevada, in Las Vegas on Friday. The final event was a public meet and greet. I never got any other information on the first 3. So we were at a bar in the Arts District in North Las Vegas, near downtown, north of the Stratosphere Hotel. There weren't a lot of people there, but it was certainly a very diverse group. We were in front of an alleyway that was holding a antique Harley night, which they apparently do every Friday night outside this bar.
Carly?
Harley.
Oh, okay.
Antique Harley.
Yeah. So he came in and he gave about a 30-minute speech in this bar in the arts district. It was a pretty good speech. He talked about how the first action the day he gets sworn in is an executive order to re-enter the Paris Climate Accords, that he will make it a point to say adios as an exact word to Trump when he bids him farewell.
No, I don't know if he can actually do that because the Secret Service will be prying
Yeah.
Cheeto's hands off of the floor as he's like, I'm not leaving, I'm not leaving.
So, he talked about fighting climate change. Some of it was general. We got to fight climate change. We need better water policy. We can't have a justice system that only serves the rich. He talked about cash bail. But there were two things of note. And he talked a lot about his upbringing, because if you've ever heard Julian Castro's personal story, it's unbelievable. And he's told it many times, and he'll tell it many times more, about being raised by his grandmother and him and his twin brother going to public schools and eventually getting a law degree and all of that. But he said two things that really stuck with me. Well, three actually. One, I like the fact that he described the process of the first executive order you sign after you get inaugurated, and he said that executive order is going to be me re-entering the Paris Climate Accords. But the two things that stuck with me was he talked about when he was a lawyer before he got into politics, and he was working for a law firm that was representing a golf course that was trying to fight a water control policy issue that he vehemently disagreed with, and he couldn't in good conscience stay with the firm and work on that. And he couldn't vote. The issue of water policy wound up being referred to the ballot, and it was going to hurt the community, and he couldn't vote the right way and still represent the client ethically. So he quit, and his house almost went into foreclosure.
Wow.
And he was in a bad strait for a while, but that was important to him, and that's the way he saw politics. So he's as good as any politician out there at telling his personal story, but that's not one I'd heard before, so that really stuck with me. The other thing, especially in the
personal sacrifice,
that stuck with me in the wake of what we were just talking about, was he made a statement that he read an article. We're down to one viewer. It's Ed. Yeah. That he had read an article saying he was the other Texas candidate in the race. He didn't mention Beto by name, but he did say that he had read that as an article. And what he said is that the other candidate is often looked at as a front runner, but that, quote, he's never been a front runner his entire life.
I think we need one of these for that.
Yeah, he's never been a front runner his entire life. He's from the other side of the tracks, and he's going to fight for the other people who never get to be a front runner. So that was his response.
That's a good line.
He's going to be such a great vice president. I think it's going to be wonderful. Yeah.
Well, I've always liked him. He would be on my short list, since I'm kind of uncommitted at this point on who I'm going to vote for.
He's voting for Kamala.
But
he does have an excuse if he doesn't, because he's a public defender and she was a prosecutor, and he hates all prosecutors.
They're on different teams.
But yeah, I am a little dismayed. Like, I agree with the people on Twitter talking about how there's been an erasure of Julian, particularly now that Beto's declared. That I'm sure there is an article, like Castro said, declaring him the other Texan in the race. And if I see that, and when I see that, it does make me very mad, because I like his message and I like his story. But the highlight of the night that did not come from Julian was I was talking with a woman there who's from Nevada, who is not committed yet, and is making a point to see all the candidates as they come here, because they're all coming here. Bernie was actually here at a park yesterday, but none of us went to it.
We were so blinded by the whiteness that it was like, because, unlike...
It was very sunny yesterday, so yeah, we didn't need any more brightness.
It was, you could see from Henderson the glow.
But
it was just horrible.
She had the great line, which was, I'm going to see Bernie, and she shrugged her head. She talked about the other candidates she's going to see, and then she said, I'm even going to swallow every ounce of pride I have and go see Tulsi. And she does.
And she promised to not take tomatoes, right?
Yes. We are taping this on a Sunday. Tulsi is actually here in Vegas tomorrow on Monday.
Ooh.
We're leaving.
Yes, we are leaving town. We are getting away from her before she speaks.
Yes.
I will not be in the same city as her.
I'm going to go be put under because I'm going to have surgery tomorrow. So, yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. The crowd wasn't too big, but it wasn't an advertised event.
That was the only downside of the thing, is the crowd wasn't very large. But again, this is something I only heard about on the internet, like, and not even from like an email or like a national thing, just from like a couple of people tweeting. He'd been at 3 other events earlier in the day. The people at this event didn't even know what other events he'd been at during the day. So yeah, the crowd could have been bigger. Again, we were in an outdoor bar in the Arts District. It's not like we were in an amphitheater or something. But I got a picture with him. It's not a very good picture because the Starfield projector projected a bunch of colored lights on me while we were taking
like a big yellow dot on your forehead.
Yeah, and a big green dot on my nose.
And you do your normal thing where you pull your head back.
That, be that as it may, I was very happy to see him, and just the bottom line is his personal story is as good as anyone who's ever going to run.
Yeah, I mean, I'm currently reading. I'm about halfway through Kamala's.
All right, the viewers back.
Yay! Hi, Joey again. I'm reading Kamala Harris's book where she talks about her childhood and how that helped shape her, and it's like her mother has the most incredible because her mother's parents let her come to the United States where she knew no one. She had no friends. She had no relatives. It was in the early 60s, and her parents had arranged a marriage for her, and she defied her parents to marry Kamala's dad.
Wow.
And they forgave her. They were like, okay, we'll So her parents were very progressive. So Kamala's grandparents are very progressive, and to me it was like, this is such a good origin story. Julian's is a good origin story because his grandmother, she cleaned houses, I think, and she worked incredibly hard to give her daughter the ability to be the civil rights activist that her daughter was, because her daughter was the founder of one of the major civil rights organizations in Texas. It's not La Raza, I don't think.
I don't remember which one.
I don't remember either. But yeah, so his mother became a civil rights activist, and because of that, him and his brother, who are eerily identical in almost every way, except for their eyebrows.
Well, doesn't Joaquin now have a beard?
Joaquin has a beard
because
now.
Julian was making jokes about the beard during the event.
and now he's also running against
Cornyn. Yeah.
So, thank goodness for the Castro brothers.
Yes. And I'm actually glad he's doing that, because honestly, Beto, the reason why Beto got so popular was simply because he was running against the Zodiac Killer, not because he is particularly more than spectacular candidate. Although he is apparently Bernie's son.
Well, he is like his son to him. It's been said. I've heard many people are saying it. There's, the
articles.
The evidence is mounting that there is this, familial relationship between
that
Bernie
he'd
and
much
Beto.
rather have Beto as his son than
he rebuked his own. He rebuked his own son in favor of Beto. I mean, the evidence is there if people would just open their eyes.
Yes. What are you so upset over?
Anyway, so Castro actually is borrowing something from Beto. Beto made the big deal of it, went to all 254 counties in Texas, and Castro made a point that he's going to all 50 states. Good primary.
And then after we take back the Senate next year, because we're gonna take back the Senate, we're going to add 2 more states. I want 3 states. I want Guam, Puerto Rico, and DC.
That'd be great.
Because that would be 6. That would be a minimum of 4 and possibly up to 6. Because Puerto Rico, for some reason, elects Republicans a lot, and that could be one of the reasons why they had such issues with their finances. Plus, everybody seems to leave the state, or the soon-to-be state.
Right.
But anyway, so I think that Guam, DC, and Puerto Rico would give us up to 6 new senators, and so that way it would permanently be in our column, and it would make it a lot easier for us to get to where we need to get to in terms of things like, for instance, the ERA, because it really wouldn't change the number of states that we need to get that passed.
No, there's only it only needs 2 more states, doesn't it? One more? Just one.
Yeah, so after Virginia, their House flips next year, or this year, and the Senate, I think, is very close to flipping as well. if not has flipped.
No, it has flipped.
Okay, so it has flipped. So the House is very close. Apparently, the controversies with the governor and stuff like that, that really hasn't affected the ability for the state legislature to flip.
Right.
So if that happens, then what we're going to see is Virginia is probably going to be the 37th state.
That'd be great.
Well, do we want to talk about why Arizona isn't that, or should we move on?
It's, 1 o'clock, we're done.
I don't want to talk about the mayor's race or Chelsea Clinton or the vote.
We already talked about Chelsea
We talked
Clinton.
about Chelsea. It's over.
Oh, and congratulations to Mayor Kate. We now
Yay.
have Kate Gallego won decisively, 58 to 42 in the mayoral race here in Phoenix, and she is the second woman to be elected and the only woman in the top 10.
All right.
Top 10 most populous cities in the United States.
Yeah.
There was an unbelievable infusion of dark money late into the race, which was very strange, including a fly-by-night operation in Oklahoma that popped up solely for the purpose of putting a headline above the masthead of the Arizona Republic for the other candidate. It was very weird.
We're done. Bye.
But we have more to talk about.
No, we're done.
Can I finish my turn?
No. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Say goodbye.
Bye.